this. We're diving into what could be a huge deal, like maybe the biggest IPO in India's history.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Reliance Jio, looking to hit the stock market by 2025.
No kidding.
We're going deep on this article. Mukesh Ambani's Reliance Jio IPO 2025. Date, valuation, and latest news.
Oh, yeah, I saw that one.
This is going to be juicy.
Yeah, Mukesh Ambani, always making waves.
Always.
And this isn't just another company going public. This is about, like reshaping the whole digital scene in India.
Exactly. It's huge, and that's what we're breaking down today.
Totally.
What makes Jio so valuable?
Yeah.
How does this all fit into Ambani's, master plan? What challenges are they up against? And most importantly, what's in it for you?
Right.
So before Jio, the Indian telecom scene was a different story.
Oh, yeah, totally different.
I remember those days back in 2016, Jio launches, right, with this crazy strategy.
Okay.
Super cheap data.
Right.
And get this, free voice calls.
No way.
Changed everything.
And look at them now, top of the heap, 479 million subscribers.
It's mind-blowing.
Yeah, not just leading, but practically running the whole thing. But managing that many users, that's a whole other beast.
Oh, for sure. It makes you wonder, how do they keep growing from there?
Well, that's where Ambani's vision goes beyond just telecom,
Okay, I'm listening.
This IPO, it's about building what he calls a digital empire.
An empire, huh? So that's where those big partnerships come in, right?
Yeah.
Google, Meta, even NVIDIA.
Exactly. And these aren't just for show.
I'd hope not.
Take the Google collab, for example. It's not just about making cheap smartphones. They're talking about building an entire operating system, tailored for India.
Whoa, hold on. Really?
That could shift the whole power balance in the global mobile OS game.
Wow, that's bold. And then there's the NVIDIA partnership.
Right.
AI infrastructure, that's next level stuff.
It is. It shows that Jio wants to be a big player in AI, not just in India, but, globally. And that ambition, that's what's driving those crazy valuations we're seeing.
Okay, let's talk numbers then.
All right.
Analysts throwing around figures like $100 billion, some even saying $112 billion.
Yeah, Jeffries, they're really bullish on Jio's future.
I mean, that's huge.
It is, but it's not just hype. They see Jio's dominance now and, more importantly, the potential for growth down the line.
This is massive for Reliance Industries too, right? They own most of Jio.
Oh, absolutely. This IPO could be a gold mine for them, solidifying their spot as a driving force in the Indian economy.
It's incredible.
But it's not all smooth sailing for Reliance. Remember Reliance Retail? There have been some changes to their IPO plan.
Oh, yeah, that was supposed to happen before Jio, right?
It was, but they've kind of hit pause.
Interesting.
They're saying internal stuff, but let's be real. The retail market in India, it's a war zone.
With Amazon and Flipkart already so big, I can see why they'd hesitate.
Right. Launching 2 massive IPOs in the same year. Risky move, even for Reliance.
Yeah, makes sense.
Looks like they're playing the long game, waiting for the perfect time to unleash Reliance Retail.
Can you imagine that showdown? Reliance Retail versus Amazon and Flipkart?
Oh, that'd be a battle for the ages.
Okay, but even with Jio, it's not all, sunshine and roses.
True.
There are challenges, right?
Yeah, there always are with big ambitions. And for Jio, one of the biggest is, Elon Musk and his Starlink.
Starlink. How does satellite internet even play into this?
Well, Starlink can reach places, especially rural areas, where regular telecom just can't.
Makes sense.
And that could be a game changer, especially in a country as geographically diverse, as India.
So how do they compete with something literally coming from space?
They'll have to play to their strengths, that big network they've built and their, deep knowledge of the Indian market.
It's going to be a fight for sure.
It will, a battle of who can innovate and adapt the fastest.
And on the retail front, how can Reliance Retail even try to compete with giants like Amazon and Flipkart?
It's a tough one, no doubt, but Reliance Retail has a few tricks up its sleeve, like their huge network of physical stores, especially in smaller towns and cities.
Okay.
Gives them a local presence that the online giants are still trying to match.
That local angle could be huge, especially as e-commerce keeps growing in India.
Right. Plus, being part of the whole Reliance group gives them access to resources and know-how that most retailers can only dream of.
So it's complicated, lots of moving pieces. But one thing's for sure, Reliance, with Jio and Reliance Retail leading the charge, they're a force to be reckoned with.
Oh, yeah, no doubt about it. They're not just riding the wave of India's economic growth, they're shaping it.
And that brings us back to you, our listener. Why should you care about all this? Even if you're not in Indian business or tech, this story It has implications for the global economy, for innovation, even for how we connect with each other in the future.
It's a story about ambition, disruption, and how ideas can change the world. And the best part, it's still being written.
This has been a wild ride, diving into the world of Reliance Jio.
Yeah, it has.
We've gone from IPO valuations to like the bigger picture of how this all plays out.
It's amazing how interconnected it all is.
It really is. And on that note, huge thanks to you, our listeners, for joining us on this deep dive.
Absolutely. Thanks for listening.
We hope you've gotten some great insights and maybe even a few aha moments along the way.
We'll see you on our next deep dive.
So we were just talking about how Reliance is like shaping India's whole economic scene.
Yeah.
It makes you think about how this all fits into India's, bigger growth story.
Right.
We hear so much about India becoming this like economic powerhouse.
Yeah.
And it feels like Jio is right at the center of it all.
Absolutely. This IPO isn't just about one company's success.
Right.
It's a sign that India is stepping onto the global stage, especially in tech.
So even for someone who isn't invested in Jio or doesn't even live in India, why should they care?
Because this could reach way beyond India's borders. Jio's growth and that, digital ecosystem they're building, it'll probably influence global tech trends and even how people invest around the world.
So this isn't just about smartphones in India.
Right.
It's about a possible power shift in the whole global tech landscape.
Exactly. And for anyone into investing, this IPO, it's a chance to be part of India's growth story.
That's a good point.
But let's get back to the IPO itself.
Okay.
Everyone wants to know, when is it actually happening?
Right. What's the timeline looking like?
Analysts are saying 2025.
Okay.
But the exact date, it's still under wraps.
Gotcha.
This is a big one, and you can bet investors around the world are waiting to hear more.
And to put it in perspective, this could be India's biggest IPO ever.
Oh, yeah.
Even bigger than Hyundai India's, $3.3 billion IPO.
Wow.
Talk about raising the bar.
It's a high bar for sure.
Yeah.
But given Jio's track record and those valuations, it's definitely possible.
It is.
Now, remember those challenges we talked about?
Yeah.
Let's dig a little deeper into Starlink coming into India.
Okay. And what that means for Jio.
Starlink is interesting. They're offering satellite internet, which is totally different from Jio. How do they even compare?
Well, Starlink can reach places, especially in rural areas,
Right.
where regular telecom infrastructure just can't go.
Yeah.
That could be really disruptive, especially in a country like India with, all its different landscapes.
So Jio can't just ignore this, right?
They'll need to be smart about how they respond to this new competitor.
Yeah.
Using their existing network and their knowledge of the Indian market will be key.
Like a chess match.
Yeah, figuring out how to counter each other's moves.
Exactly. And what about the competition in retail?
Okay.
Amazon and Flipkart are already so big in India.
Yeah.
How can Reliance Retail even hope to compete? It's a tough fight, no question.
Yeah.
But remember, Reliance Retail has its own advantages, like their huge network of physical stores,
Okay.
especially in smaller towns and cities. That gives them a local presence that the online giants are still trying to build.
It's like they're combining the best of both worlds, online and offline retail.
Exactly. And don't forget, Reliance Retail is part of this much bigger conglomerate
Right.
that gives them access to resources and expertise that a lot of other retailers just don't have.
It's going to be interesting to see how they use those strengths.
It's real.
So we've got this complex situation, ambitious companies, fierce competition, and a tech landscape that's constantly changing.
Yeah.
But it all comes back to this. Reliance, with Jio and Reliance Retail leading the way, they are a force to be reckoned with.
They are. And they're not just participating in India's economic transformation.
Right.
They're actively shaping it.
And that brings us back to why this all matters to you, our listener.
Right.
Even if you're not directly involved in Indian business or the tech industry.
Yeah.
This story has implications for the global economy, for technological innovation, and even for how we connect with each other in the future.
It's a story about ambition, about disruption, and about the power of ideas to change the world.
For sure.
And the most exciting part, the story is still being written.
This deep dive has been amazing.
It has.
We started with IPO valuations, and now we're talking about the bigger picture of how Jio's rise affects society.
It's crazy how it's all connected.
It really is. And on that note, I want to ask our listeners something.
Okay.
We've talked a lot about the business side of Jio and the IPO.
Yeah.
But I'm curious about the impact on society. How do you see this all playing out?
That's a great question. Think about how many people in India now have access to affordable internet.
Right.
that's already had a huge impact on things like education, healthcare, and even starting new businesses.
And as Jio keeps growing its digital ecosystem, it's crazy to think about how much bigger that impact will become.
It is. It's like opening up a whole new world of possibilities for millions of people.
Exactly.
This goes beyond balance sheets and market valuations. It's about empowering people and creating opportunities.
That's a good point.
And that's something that should resonate with all of us, no matter where we live or what we do.
You've put it perfectly. This isn't just an Indian story.
Right.
It's a global story.
Exactly. And that's why it's so fascinating to watch.
So we've been talking about the impact Jio's having on India,
Yeah.
bringing affordable internet to so many people.
Mm-hmm.
It's a story of inclusive growth, isn't it?
It really is their focus on keeping things affordable.
Right.
It's brought so many people into the digital world who were, left out before.
Yeah.
It's not just about adding more, wealthy consumers. It's
Yeah.
about making sure everyone can be a part of it.
And that's huge. Think about education,
Yeah,
healthcare, even how people in rural areas can do business.
exactly.
It's like leveling the playing field in a way we've never seen before.
Imagine a farmer in a remote village, right?
Mm-hmm.
Being able to connect with buyers online, or a student in a small town accessing world-class education.
It's amazing.
That's what we're talking about, empowering people, creating opportunities.
And it all ties back to India as this rising global power. This digital revolution is fueling so much innovation, so much entrepreneurship.
Right.
It could have a ripple effect on the whole global economy.
Absolutely.
It's fascinating to see how technology can be this catalyst for change.
Yeah, and it's not just India that's noticing.
What do you mean?
Other developing countries are looking at Jio's model, trying to learn from what they've done.
So it's not just an Indian story.
No.
It's a global story with potential for a more digitally inclusive world.
That's what makes it so compelling.
It's not just about business.
It's bigger than that.
It's about the power of connection to, break down barriers and create opportunities.
For everyone.
This deep dive has been a journey
It has.
from IPO valuations to the wider impact of Jio's rise.
Yeah.
It's incredible how it all connects.
It really is. It reminds us that business isn't just about numbers.
Right.
It's about the impact on people's lives.
And on that note, a huge thank you to you, our listeners, for joining us on this deep dive into Reliance Jio.
We appreciate you tuning in.
We hope you've gained some valuable insights
Yeah, and a new perspective.
on how technology can shape our world.
Absolutely.
Keep exploring, stay curious.
And we'll see you on our next deep dive.